Guys, I know I've got to give it the preseason qualifier, and yes, I'm aware the Pelicans were without their two best players in Zion and Brandon Ingram, but there is really something to be said in how this Bulls team has been playing and the drastic differences we have seen already from last season. The ball movement, the floor spacing, the flow in transition, the defense, all of it. There is something to be said about how this team will look as they head into the regular season, and after another absolutely dominant performance against the Pelicans tonight, that's what I want to talk about in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now look, I think it is good to have a healthy dose of awareness in our Bulls fandom, to not blow these two games out of proportion, especially when they're playing against bad teams who don't even have their best players on the roster. Yes, I know the Bulls also have been without Patrick Williams and Coby White, but that's not the same as Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. But if there was anything that as the Bulls were concerned about in terms of an overhauled roster, is how long it would take for them to adapt and build team chemistry together. Like any new team with a lot of talent, it's hard to get things going right off the bat, which could still end up being the case once the games actually start meaning something. But the way in which these guys have passed the ball, knowing their assignments, cutting at the right time, finding the open man on the perimeter, playing unselfish basketball, not having it be a one-man show or playing hero ball. In these first two games, everyone has been getting involved. The guys are clicking, smiling, looking happy, competing, and having fun while doing it. And I don't care that it's the preseason, because it's just fun to see a Bulls team that is excited to play with one another and playing with energy. So I always like to focus on the things that the Bulls struggled with last season and seeing how they compare from what we've seen thus far. First off, turnovers. The Bulls only had 9 turnovers in the last game while forcing 20 turnovers to the Cavs, compared to averaging over 15 turnovers last season. The Bulls finished the game, today's game, with 12 turnovers in total, and yes, they did get a little sloppy at times in controlling the ball towards the end, but that was really after the game was out of reach, and of course, it's the preseason. And then how about the hustle plays on the defensive end, especially perimeter defense, something we rarely saw last season from the Bulls. They had over 14 steals to finish up the game, coming off another night where they were scrappy on the defensive end and putting up the clamps on their opponent. Ball movement, making unselfish plays, and smart plays, something again the Bulls struggled with last season. But in this game, the Bulls as a team finished with 33 assists, and of course the assist to turnover ratio has been substantially better than what we saw last season. And then of course just competing, playing with effort and energy, and even in just 2 preseason games, the Bulls are exhibiting that already. The three-point shooting could have been a little better tonight. I mean, that was one of the things that did frustrate me last season, was the Bulls settling for too many threes and not setting up plays. But because it's just the preseason, it's not something that you can really get too upset about. Not only that, but the Bulls are making the extra passes to even get to those three-point shots, rather than just bringing the ball down the floor and stopping and popping from a 3 from the logo, Denzel Valentine. So I'll live with it. You know who was red hot from behind the arc in this game was Lonzo Ball. We were talking about in the live chat about how Lonzo can't shoot threes after his first miss, and then of course he goes on to hit his next 5 straight three-pointers, finishing the night shooting 5 for 6 from 3, a total of 19 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists to go along with 2 steals and a block. I know I've been hesitant on Lonzo really ever since all of the rumors around him going to the Bulls started last season, and I have to say, so far in his limited time with the Bulls, he has proven me wrong. Not just because of what we've seen in these 2 preseason games, but more so what all of the guys have been saying about him in their press conferences. How playing with Lonzo is so much easier because he makes the game easy for everyone else to play basketball. How Lonzo plays such unselfish basketball. DeRozan even saying that he was one of the most dynamic point guards he's ever played with. The guys have been singing Lonzo's praises, and I do think that speaks volumes to his abilities. Of course, Lavine did his thing as usual. The guy is playing like it's the regular season, putting up 21 points on 8 for 14 shooting, and he's driving more to find his way to the free throw line, which you would hope more of those calls will come in the regular season, as refs aren't going to be as strict in the preseason. And Lavine has been showing off more of his mid-range game. I guess, DeRozan has been rubbing off on him. Speaking of DeRozan, again, it's just the preseason, so I'm honestly not as worried about it as probably some are, but really, he's really been the only one of the big 4 that has been somewhat struggling. He's been missing some easy shots, even putting up air balls, turning the ball over when driving to the basket. Again, I don't think it's anything to worry worry about. Just saying, when you compare that to the additions of Lonzo and Caruso, who have been looking great thus far, it just kind of pales in comparison. DeRozan still ended up finishing the game with 12 points and 6 rebounds in 28 minutes of play. Vucevic came out starting very strong in this game, was cold from 3 though, so hopefully we'll see him knock down those outside shots as the season continues, because the Bulls are going to need his added spacing with DeRozan on the court. He still finished the game with 16 points, 10 rebounds, and he even had 4 steals. He was showing off some defense as well, which was good to see. And guys, I still continue to be impressed with Javonte Green in the starting lineup. I know he played limited minutes, only 18, but he's been hustling on both ends of the floor and has just looked smooth and more athletic than what we have seen from him when he was on the Celtics. He finished with 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals. That coast to coast and 1 play in the first quarter had me jumping out of my seat, I will tell you that much. Also, Alisay Johnson, I knew this guy was a beast on the boards, especially for his size, but holy crap, the way he was manhandling some of those guys and boxing out for offensive rebounds was incredible. He finished the game with 9 rebounds and 5 assists. He's even got a little bit of playmaking on him as well. And of course, the GOAT Caruso, another solid outing, 10 points, but more importantly, showing that he's actually a better playmaker than we had initially thought. Last game he had 10 assists. He finishes tonight with 5, in this one to go along with also 5 rebounds and 2 steals. Matt Thomas was also showing his sharpshooting skills in his limited minutes. He played, was able to score 8 points, and Io as well. Again, limited minutes, but the kid looks confident and is hungry to get better, which you love to see from your hometown rookie. And then we also get to see Derrick Jones Jr. and Marco Simonevich for the first time since they were out in that first preseason game. Again, very, very limited minutes, not a ton of production from either one of them, but it was good to see them in the lineup nonetheless, and hopefully they're fully healthy and will be ready to go to start the regular season. But man, the Bulls, are they really averaging a plus 40-point differential between their first 2 exhibition games? These are just not just blowouts, they're slaughterings of the other team. I was telling the guys in the chat that it's almost getting embarrassing at this point for some of these teams. But anyway, I really hope we see more of this in the regular season, because it's so nice to have a stress-free game in which the Bulls run away with this one early, rather than blowing a bunch of fourth quarter leads like we saw last season. But I won't get my hopes up yet. We've got to see this team do this consistently when it counts in the regular season. So until then, I won't get my hopes up, but based on what we've seen thus far, it is encouraging. I want to know what you guys think though. What were your thoughts on the game? For those that were at the game, let us know. Post some pics in the Discord. The link to the Discord can be found in the description. As always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.